Hello everybody, my name is Alckemy, welcome to the channel. What you're looking at is the Magic Delay plugin from GS-DSP. Now, full disclaimer, I actually reached out to them and was like, hey, would you be willing to send me your plugins so I can take a look and review them? And they said, yeah, sure, and did it almost immediately. Now, what's so cool about these is that there's actually 3 different ones, but the layout from them are all the same, to where you've got these different sequencers, you've got these different crossfaders in between 4 different stages, you've got these skews that you can use depending on what kind of effect you're using, and then you've also got built-in modulators here. And I'll go into more of that in a second, but I love this because this is just a really cool effect suite for breaking sounds, which if you know my channel, you know that I love to do. And if you like to break sounds yourself, then maybe consider subscribing to the channel. So yeah, there's the delay, there's the pitch, and then there's the blur. And they all do a really good job of going anywhere from subtle to absolutely crazy. This one in particular is a delay. When you first pull it up, it will ask you how long you want your max delay time to be, which would be like this. We can set it to 2 seconds or whatever. And yeah, you can definitely treat it as something that's subtle and conventional. So if I were to just go here and check this out, we're gonna go to the green one here and just turn this up. There's a multi-stage stepper here, as you can see, or performer, even if you will. And we can kind of just pull this up all the way or create different steps and turn the feedback up as we introduce this. And as you can see, it's pretty subtle and very nice and very pleasing within all of this. You can also change this though to start doing really cool and crazy stuff by double tapping on here and creating these steppers. And what's really neat about this is that there's 4 different versions that you can do this to start crossfading in between, which is nice. And these are just kind of snapshots of the delay time itself. So these are independent of the controls on the bottom. This is more so of how much delay and a frequency that you are changing this into, and then the feedback is obviously how much feedback you're giving yourself. But if I were to hold this, and maybe let's do one more, kind of like so. If I click on this, I can create more of a segment as opposed to just sample and hold. These guys are whether or not it's musical. So this is just in time, this is triplets, this is dotted. So there's that. But now I'm going to play this and shift between this and then start to change some of these invert, shape, and skew. So this one in particular is really cool because, and in some cases there's a give and take with it, because on one end I would love that if you change the time on this, as in here, if it were to jump in time. Some delays do that. Some of them are meant to be more like this, to where even if you're changing the delay time and feedback and stuff, it kind of stays somewhat consistent. But what's really cool about all of these is that they have modulators built into them, and they have a ton of modulators built in. If we click on here, we can scroll all the way down to see all of what they have. I'm not going to go through each and every one of these, but you can see they've got amp follower, a pitch follower, spectral stuff. I actually don't even know what those are, but I'll be looking into them in the future. But for me personally, I just like to use the randoms on here, and we can assign this to anything if we just click on this little guy. So once we do that, then it's pretty much like your standard mapping. You can do bipolar, you can do unipolar if you want. We can pull the XY pad here, and I'll just start to change this stuff just with a single modulator for now as a means of demonstration. And then I'll come back to this guy and go like that. And now you'll see that these will start to hop around. You can set this to hertz or sync if you want, so we can turn this up. Add another stepper here and just do some weird stuff. You can also crossfade into themselves. You can also feedback into each other. There's a filter here on both of these, so you can pull that up and pull this one down. Sounds really good. Very nice, kind of almost like diffusion delay type of thing. You can also do some randomization via here if you wanted to, of like what you want to kind of mess with. And these little dice will kind of just randomly move these parameters. So if I do that, you can see that it just jumped. It's kind of just jumping into random things. Even though it's static, it's still a really cool thing if you're just like, oh, I don't know what I want. Well, let's give one of these a try. Unfortunately, not yet anyways. There is no cross modulation, so you can't modulate another modulator yet, but they did say that there is an update coming, which is really cool. You've got your presets over here. You just hit the default. I guess if you want to save one, you can do tags. And then here are your preset libraries just in this little thing. Within that though, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the basis of how these all work, but they're, like I said, really cool for just creating like weird stuff. And I'll show you that here in a second. Now, one other thing is over here on the left, every single one of these has these. There's these 3 different like tonal, I don't want to say tonal balance, but like, I guess presets of like, do you want it to be something that's more percussive? Do you want it to be something that's in the middle of percussive and instrumental, or something that's purely tonal? And yeah, it's just kind of, I think, how you set the delay time or something of the sort. Or maybe there's a transient shaper or a gate. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it can kind of affect the way that your sounds come out. So this little knife is just cut it. Just kind of stop everything if there's too much feedback. You can make this wider with stereo via the skew. You can set how much of this that you want to use. If you just want to pull back on the amount, as you can see over on the left, it's getting smaller. This is the full range. Then you can set an envelope if you wanted to about how it curves. There's just a bunch of stuff within this that you can mess with and get really deep down and dirty into, regardless of what it is that you are trying to accomplish. And for me, like I said, this is more so useful for sound mangling than anything. So let's go ahead with the architecture in mind. I'll just do some more demos with this, and maybe we'll just use these one by one so you can see what all they can do. And I'm going to pull up the blur now and see if we can get some other interesting results with the same approach. If I open this up and move this over, you can see that this is a very similar, I guess, anatomy of the synth, or sorry, of the effect. But instead of the delay now, we've got pretty much a pitch shifter. Now with this, we can move this up and down, and we're gonna definitely randomize it. It also has a freeze and reverse, which is super cool. You can also set an envelope to how these all move. So this one is probably one of the more experimental things. But if I kind of go into this and start creating some shapes and whatnot, we'll kind of figure out what to do after that when we see how it sounds. So just very quickly double clicking on these guys, and like, it doesn't need to be said, but just the fact that I'm doing this on my phone, and I mention this all the time, but yeah, just being able to do this stuff is so freaking cool and inspiring, because it's almost like playing a video game. And this is like, compared to anything else, would be something that I would pick up and use on the couch, right? Which makes a great point of like, you can literally just pull Drambo up or pull AUM up and put a loop on and just start messing with this and then record whatever it is that you get. It's super convenient. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a listen to how this sounds, and we'll kind of go from there. If you want to set this to octave or semitones only, you can do that as well. I kind of just don't mind and just let it go. You can adjust the gain of the wet signal. Then we can skew this as well. So as you can expect, once we start putting some stuff on here, we can just do some LFOs or whatever and arrange these in such a way. We'll set this one to be down, set this one to be up. This one we can maybe put on the envelope just to see if it does anything cool. And then with this guy, we can set that to maybe like a pitch to make it start wobbling. It's going to be very dramatic, but that's okay. And then let's go ahead and grab a randomizer here. change it on this one and set this to mess with the XY control. And this is just how I would use it, you know, or how I would like to explore with the plugin, and that's the whole beauty behind stuff like this. But really, like I said, you can go as subtle or as crazy as you want to. I'm going to put this in the middle, and now this is going to kind of bounce all over the place, hopefully. But let's go ahead and see what that does. Pretty cool. There's also a custom LFO, which is cool. You can set a multi-stage envelope generator. But that just sounds really nice. Yeah, just some really cool sounds. I love that. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn this one off, and then we'll pull up the last one, and I'll show you what that can do. And we'll take a look and see how we can break that in the other way. So we did the delay, we did the blur. Now we're going to take a look at the pitch, which I believe is a frequency shifter for the most part. What's cool about this is that you can shift this via either hertz or by semitones, and then you've got this kind of crossfade in between. It says that equal loudness, EQ rather, is what this can do. You've got some shelves over on the side, and then sometimes within something like this one in particular, you've got these different like pitch ranges that you have over on the left. So this is 24, as you can see, and you can scale it down all the way to 12 if you wanted to, or toggle it rather. And then over here, you've got your frequency ranges, which is interesting. So what this means is over on the left, if this is here, that means that it's going to jump around there. If it's over on the right, it's going to jump around to the other one. So as you can expect, it'd be really cool to kind of modulate between these ranges here, maybe of say 1000 hertz, and then this is 2 octaves. So when this is jumping around and crossfading, it's going to like do weird pitchy wobbly things. So yeah, let's not waste any more time, and let's kind of do the same thing, and I'll give you a glimpse of what that can do. We are going to go here and set that to step mode. And there's also sample and hold, which is really cool. So if you want to hold it and then, you know, either turn a knob on or off and release it. Oh, this is the global modulation. But yeah, you can sample and hold that and toggle that, which is cool. There's also another sample and hold, I believe, down here with the modulation. There's an undo button, which is cool. I guess it's a reset. And then you can turn the modulator on or off. So, which is super neat. You can bypass it. And then over here, you can have different grid settings, which is cool. You can tell that this one is not musical, so instead they've got these other options, which is pretty nice. So yeah, let's go ahead and just kind of create some stuff and see what kind of chaos we can cause. And we'll do it on this one. And this one. Again, it's just a double tap. I don't think that there's curves on here, but that's okay. I don't really feel like it's not necessary for doing destructive things like this. But now that we have that, we can kind of morph in between all these and just make it do weird stuff. Oh man, this one's so cool. I'm gonna turn the output up just a little bit. So if I were to move over here and change this to say this one and move this up, maybe I kind of shift back over to this one, you'll see that this dictates that it can go 24, and this should be able to go up to 1000. So if I were to change this up here, the frequency range shouldn't be as much. I guess it is. Oh, that's nice. It sounds like some Zelda stuff. So what we can do is let's use that step mode on here to kind of just modulate between these guys, which I think would be really cool. And then we'll use another one here. Welcome to your worst nightmare. No, I'm kidding. Sort of. But we want to set this one as well to a step mode. And then maybe we can make this a little bit faster. To 1/2. Let's go ahead and add this one to the XY. And now this should jump around in different places. So when you start combining these, you get some really crazy stuff. Yeah. So, and these are just beginning points of being able to mess this up. But you can imagine that with something, maybe even with the power of Drambo or whatever, like just as a proof of concept, I can map all this stuff here. And I could just go and pull up an LFO or something if I wanted to. And sometimes it's a little finicky with the phone, but if I pull up LFO and start to pull up a sample and hold shape, which is a random thing, then I can just start linking this stuff to all these different random parameters and just see what it does. You know, you never really know. Make sure that you have a limiter on there or some kind of clipper or something, because it can be super crazy. But this is exactly what I had always dreamed about doing on my phone. This is on my phone. I'm on an iPhone 14, and yeah, like this is sick. Just set these up and then let it go, and then let it go, and then you just resample. So in conclusion, I think that the GSP stuff, or the GS-DSP stuff, is really awesome. I would go for the bundle if you get the chance, and they go on sale pretty often. They do have computer versions as well, but in the future, I don't really have a lot of things that I would want to change about this other than that specific delay one. These are just super cool. I think that these are great mangling tools and great like subtle effects as well, if that's your go-to. So yeah, thanks everybody. Let's see what this sounds like, and then we'll end the video. Sick. Be sure to like and subscribe, everybody. I'll see you in the next one.